I will tell you, I know you're a busy guy, Tim, and I really, really appreciate you just jumping in to talk with me today for about 30, 45 minutes. What I really would love is just to learn a little bit about you, sir. I mean, we've gotten the opportunity to, go to a convention for the VFW in Texas and talk to some people, and we were able to learn from each other there. But what I would really like is like, what do you like to do? What are you passionate about? What makes you tick? That's what I would like to learn today.
Um, geez, what makes Tim tick? Well, it's funny because I have probably a lower opinion of myself and the ways that I spend my time than I probably should. I'm the type of person that I always feel like I'm not doing enough or not using my time wisely enough. But then I look at all the things that I do and I say that's probably uh, more of an issue of me being too hard on myself than actually occupying my time enough.
I mean, you
So
you are a busy man, very busy, and you're not busy like I'm just doing some stuff. Like anytime I talk to you, man, you're like, oh, I'm here and I'm there, and everything that you're doing is always meaningful. So if you're ever hard on yourself about time, dude, like you are probably some of the individuals in the world that, like, if they created more time, it would actually help you a ton.
could be, yeah, I wouldn't mind maybe a couple more hours in a day because I I find myself like even at the end of the day, after work, I sometimes have kind of a hard time pivoting to that like it's okay to chill out mindset. Um, but so what I do to occupy my time is lots of hobbies, and I always feel like I don't have enough, or simultaneously that I have too much. It's like I'd love to add some more, but then at the same time, when would I do that? So when I'm not doing mortgage stuff, I am big into I'd say mostly motorsport and music and travel.
Uh, Pretty big ones.
Um,
So real quick before we
yeah,
go further from there,
sure.
is it really that cold in Colorado today? You're wearing a hoodie, man.
No, I'm actually maybe a little too hot for this hoodie, but it was comfortable when I put it on. Uh, no, it's 94 degrees and sunny here.
So you got a good AC guy.
I don't have air conditioning. No, we don't we don't have that. So Colorado, other dry climates like this, like you see it in Arizona, sometimes in Nevada, other places like that, people have what are called swamp coolers or evaporative coolers instead of AC. So basically, I have two big boxes on top of my roof that they flow water through this material that then has air blown through it,
Ah.
and so it cools the air and it kind of raises the humidity a bit as well. Um, but it keeps things pretty cool. So
Yeah, the fact that you just said no AC, I don't think I could ever move there.
lots of people do have AC. I don't have
Oh,
AC.
okay. Because you're you're
Yeah.
you're you're a mountain man for sure.
Well, I mean, we live in Golden, which is it's west of Denver. It's in the suburbs west of Denver.
Yeah.
Um, so I do like it up in the mountains, but I mean, I'm like I'd rather drive my truck on a 4x4 trail than hike.
No, for
If
sure,
that,
absolutely.
yeah.
And it sounds like you'd rather drive your 4x4 truck with your car behind it, right? You said you're into motorsports. What do you mean by that? Do you race stuff or?
Yeah. So not car racing. I mean, I'd love to do that if I had, if I was a bazillionaire. I would do that because it's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
But I have a race cart um, that I take to the track on weekends. So it's a tiny little go kart with a 9 horsepower engine on it, and I get all geared up and try to go get faster.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been into go karting for a long time, and when I moved out here, I started getting into it more regularly and more seriously because as a kid it was you do the go karts at the the mini golf
Yeah,
place or
I mean
whatever.
that's what I'm thinking when you say that. I'm like, man, this guy's going to mini golf every weekend.
Nope, nope. So then I moved up to a place that does karting here in Denver, and it's like indoor, and the track is really small, and the carts you're not necessarily getting a good cart or even a consistent cart with the last one that you used, and they time your laps, so it's all about improving your time.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a consistent cart, then it's really hard to get a bead on how good you're really doing.
So is there
Um,
like a I'm not familiar, but is there like a league for that? Like, can you like on the weekends get into like the racing circuit and be a racer
for
and
sure.
really?
Yep. Yeah. So karting isn't nearly as big here in the U.S. As it is in like Europe, for example. It's huge over there. It's actually the way that most people get into their upper levels of motorsport in Europe is they start on the karting circuit. Yes, there are leagues. There's a Colorado karting league. Uh, I'm not in it this year. I finally got a kart of my own. Probably it was earlier this year. I don't remember exactly when. And, I'd love to do it competitively eventually. I'm extremely competitive. Uh, but for now, it's very much familiarizing myself with it. So when I kind of grew out of going to the rental cart tracks, I bought my own. And that way, every time I drive it, it's my cart, and I can make adjustments to it and to myself with a much more consistent,
So now that
feedback.
means you don't have to go to the rental car place anymore. So I'd imagine there's a separate place that you go, and so it's
Yeah.
kind of
So,
like there's a group, a community of people there that you go with, and you guys are all sharing the same vision. And
pretty much, yeah. I've got one close friend that has a cart of his own. I'm trying to get a few buddies into it, and yeah, basically, there's tracks all over the state. I go to one that's about 10 minutes from here, and basically, I my cart's in my garage. When I want to go, I just put it in the bed of my truck and head over there, and then yeah, there is a whole community of people, and that's one thing that I like a lot about it is similarly to how I treat sales and building a network with all this. Everybody is invested in everybody else's success,
Mhm.
which I like a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's what I meant about like the community part of it. You know, you guys aren't at the level. I mean, I'm sure maybe you could in car racing, but not at the level where you've got like corporate sponsors and you've
yeah,
got to
you can
walk the
certainly
thin
get that.
line. But like you're in that what do they call it, the evolutionary phase, right? Like what can we
Yeah,
do? It's like the Wright brothers. How can we get this thing to go faster to get in the air? That's what we need to do right now, whatever it takes, right? So it's pretty cool.
yeah, and even at those upper levels, people are still very helpful and so it's great. So I enjoy that a lot. That's the main thing. Well, it's not the main thing that I do that occupies my time, but it's I like it because, like I said, I'm competitive, and I like instant satisfaction. I mean, obviously, a lot of people like instant satisfaction, but I like that I can go out there and try to get a little bit better each time. Um, so I mean, I watch a lot of motorsport, and I love driving cars. I'm a big car guy,
Yeah.
and
Did you ever get to see, or have you watched? I think it's on Netflix. What is it? F1.
the Drive to
Yeah,
Survive.
have you seen that?
I have, yeah. So I'm a huge Formula One fan.
Hmm.
I've watched every, uh, pretty much every F1 race live that I didn't have, that I just wasn't able to, for about the last 10 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I thought it
Yeah,
was interesting going behind the curtain, and I really feel like, and I don't know, I'm not a huge NASCAR fan. I'm not a huge like racing fan, but watching that show made me feel like I really got to see behind the curtain. Right, this is how we practice. This is how we play. This is how it works. To see,
yep,
like, even between the two drivers on one team, the competition between two guys, to be like, why do you get to be the number one guy? I want to be the number one guy. And then vice versa to that. I think the last ones that I watched, what's his name? Lewis Hamilton is like he's the guy, right? And
Yeah.
the other guy that drives with him is really good, and he's backing off so the other guy can win. I was like, what is going on? It's weird.
Yeah, yeah. F1 is kind of a different animal from a lot of other motorsport. And it's. I mean, think of it this way: there's only 20 seats in F1.
Yeah, yeah,
There's 20 places that a driver could go in that sport. So to get to that level, it's pretty wild the
yeah.
talent
It's
that
not
people
like
have to have.
50 cars on a track in NASCAR, right? Like you really
Right.
are a good driver if you get there. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
and their shelf life. When I was watching the show, like their shelf life is almost like being an NFL football player, like two or
Oh
three
yeah.
years, and you make one wrong move. Like there's some other young kid coming up that we think can be really fast, so we're not really have
Yep.
to be invested in them, so they can ride the coattails of our best guy, and we can develop him because you're old, and they're like 23. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. And that can happen. You do see people that are in the sport for, Hamilton's been in the sport for, I think this is his 15th season. You got Kimi Räikkönen. He's going to be 41 in October, and
Yeah.
he's still doing it. He's been in since 2001.
Mm.
So some people manage to have crazy staying power, but some others come and go. I mean, there's hundreds of drivers that have probably done one season or maybe less.
But
And because if you don't,
that would be fun, right? Even just one season.
oh right, yeah, I would gladly. I mean, dude, even if I could do one race in the worst car that was ever on the
Yeah.
grid, I'd be I'd
Like,
be
just
happy
let
for
me
the
go take
opportunity.
a time trial on the track. Let me go test your car.
So the crazy thing about racing at that level, and especially F1 cars, that people don't realize is that so much of the the car's grip, so that it needs to be able to handle the massive power that they have, comes from the downforce that they generate with the aerodynamics of the car.
Mhm.
And so for a normal person to jump in and drive one will be really difficult because it's kind of counterintuitive to how you drive a passenger car, in that in order to get heat in the tires so that they have grip, you have to drive the car fast enough, so that you have that grip in the tires. If you were to take an F1 car out and try and baby it, and the tires were cold, then you'd probably spin off and crash because there's not enough grip. So you have to drive faster and faster in order to have the grip in the
Gotta
tires.
you got to be fearless in those, man. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you consider just the speeds that they do and all that. I don't know, especially when I'm driving my cart that does 50 miles an hour,
If I only had $1 billion more, I'd be going way faster right
yeah.
now. No, that's
So,
cool,
so
man.
I love that stuff. Like I said, I'm a really competitive person, and that's my thing where I feel I excel.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, it's tough. I'm much bigger and heavier than most people in karting, and so
So
that
you've
puts me
got
at a
the automatic
disadvantage.
downdraft, dude. You're good.
No, well, so the class that I'm in, kart and driver, uh, have a total weight of 385 pounds. But I weigh 210 and my cart weighs 210. So I'm above that. So that means that people automatically are going to have a weight advantage over me. So that just means my
So
craft has to
just
be that
meaning
much
that
better.
their cart is lighter, which makes them faster.
Well, they're lighter because the carts are all the same.
But that's what I
Um,
mean in general. If like you're sitting in it and I weigh less,
yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
be faster because I don't have as much pressure and weight on there. Even if it's
yeah.
like 5 pounds, right? Is that a big difference?
Probably not enough, but if two drivers were at the exact same skill level, but one of them was 50 pounds lighter than the other, then they're probably going to be sending noticeably quicker lap times.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
So how does your competitive drive for things like kart racing and watching, races on TV through Formula One or what have you. Like, how does that translate? And did that have anything to do with how you chose to get into the mortgage profession? Like, did that help you get there? Do you think there was a drive from that background to become into this industry, or was it a completely different uh,
Uh,
factor altogether?
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it probably played somewhat of a role. I'm not sure if it played a role necessarily in getting me into the industry, um, because for a little background, I mean, I went into the Marine Corps at 21. I got out at 25. I it was a great time for me being in the Marine Corps. It was like the first thing in my life I felt I really excelled at. I got to sergeant in about 3 years, and then after that, I kind of carried that motivation into. I went back to school and got a finance degree, and then
A
I,
Marine with a finance degree.
believe it or not, and so from there it was time to figure out what's next. Okay, so I have to be a real adult now. School's out,
Yeah,
military's over.
yeah,
What's next? And man, I applied to. I always pegged the number at probably 50 different places. Everything from financial planner to, like management track at like a big corporation or something,
yeah.
and it didn't get anywhere. I didn't get any traction. But my wife is a real estate nut. She's a real estate investor, and it's like her biggest hobby. And I find it interesting too. And plus, with the finance background, she said, "Well, why don't you look into mortgages because you don't want to be a realtor?" Um, and so I started looking into mortgage, and found that, wow, they don't care if you have a degree. They don't care if you have experience. They care about who you are.
Yeah.
What's your attitude? What's your appetite?
Yeah, are you a go-getter?
Um,
Are you ready to work and put the effort in that you need, or are you just wanting to be here? Like, there's a difference.
yeah, yeah. Are you here? Trying to do the bare minimum? Or are you one of those that is only limited by their own ambition?
For sure.
And to me, I really feel I fall in that second category. And one thing that the military taught me is I can take orders and I can fit into that structure. But personally, I would much rather be the person determining the course of my life
Yeah.
and in my day to day.
No, yeah, I
And
agree. I was the same way coming out of the Navy. Like, I applied at tons of places, man. And I finally, the same thing. Like, I want to be the creator of my own destiny from now on. I followed orders for a long time. I did what you asked me to do. I was really, really good at it.
yep,
But it taught me that I can do that on my own too. So why would I go let you keep telling me what to do when I can kind of create my own destiny, even though I work with a manager, right? I have a manager, but I
yeah,
can still control my own destiny. I like that.
yeah. The military gave me a framework I definitely didn't have beforehand, to hold myself accountable, and to hold myself to a higher standard. Because I mean, I worked over 2 dozen jobs before I joined.
Right.
I
McDonald's,
was,
fast
yep.
food.
I got kicked out of college. I yeah, worked all kinds of crappy jobs, and I got to the point where it was like, is this really it? Like, is this what I'm gonna do for the next 60 years or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. So I can still remember touching down in the plane at Savannah Airport in Georgia, so we could get on a bus to go to Parris Island for Marine Corps recruit training. And I just
Parris
remember
Island.
this. I just had this thinking of like, well, shit. There's no turning back now.
Yeah, right. You know what? I think everybody has that, right? Because you get off the plane wherever you're at, and you're like,
Yep.
"Fuck, man, there's no return ticket," which means I guess I got to do it now. I'm here, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, my parents had like a send off party for me and all this stuff, and so I mean, can people and do people fail and go home and say it didn't work out? Sure. I
Yeah.
mean, it happens every single day.
Yep.
But I wasn't going to be that person.
Yep.
And to me, I definitely think people can change, and that was one of those things that taught me that about myself, was that, like, literally I made the decision in that moment, things are going to be different now, and I'm going to hold myself to this higher standard. And so it gave me the foundation to now, as a adult with a degree and whatever else, to say I can take the reins. I just need to find a place where I can learn and grow and have people who are there to build me up and support me and not micromanage me.
Yeah.
And I've been very, very lucky in my mortgage journey to really only work for people like that, with few exceptions. So a little background on how I got into it. As I said, I couldn't really find anything in the jobs that I was seeking out, and to be honest, they didn't really sound like any kind of thing I'd want to be doing long term anyway. And also, I'm looking at jobs where I just graduated with a finance degree, and I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and I'm looking at jobs in Denver, Colorado, with a base salary of 30 grand a year. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, that's not even enough to rent an apartment around here.
Yep. Yep.
So, yep, checked out mortgages. I initially tried to get a job with my wife's former loan officer before me, and but he didn't have the ability to train me. He said he would take me on, but he didn't have the ability to get me licensed. So I started with a company that has a call center model, which, I was not super enthusiastic about at first, but I saw it as a huge opportunity. The company was going to get me licensed, get me a bunch of state licenses, and then throw me on the phones and see what happens.
Just go to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And had a great first boss there, huge wealth of knowledge. Andy was my age. He went straight into the business out of college rather than the very roundabout way that I took. And so it was great because it was somebody, a peer that I could relate to, but that also had all this experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
So I was there for about a year until the company decided. I should say, when I started at this job, they just had started a Denver branch, so I was one of the first hires. And then a year later, they decided, let's open a branch in Scottsdale, Arizona instead, and close the Denver branch. So we all got laid off.
Are you ready to move to Scottsdale? Well, thank you for coming.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing. There, if you want to move to Scottsdale or Kentucky or Georgia, and I'm like, yeah, I literally had just bought a house here. My house I'm sitting in right now. I bought 6 months before they laid us off. So now I'm panicking because I'm a year into a pure commission industry, and I was working at a call center, so I don't have a book of business. It's all inside sales. And the moment they terminated us, I lost all of my client contacts. So I left. I took another job at another mortgage company, but doing the exact opposite. So my first company was just purely inside sales. Here's hundreds of leads. Go call them every day. You're calling hundreds of people. I went from that to purely 100% self-generated business. No leads. Go out there and find the business and bring it back here. They didn't put me in front of anybody. They didn't say, call these people. Nothing. And they were one of the few companies that would take me on without an existing book of business, because the branch manager that hired me, he said he was willing to take a chance, and he saw that I had potential and wanted to help me realize it.
Sure.
Which I thought was great, but I was only there for about 6 months because he's a great guy, tons of experience, been in the business longer than I've been alive and all that stuff. But I didn't really feel like he had the relevant, knowledge of how to get started today. Because to be fair, getting started in this business today is a little bit different than getting started in this business.
You're not going to the grocery store to talk to the town and show them the newspaper ads of like homes, or are you looking to buy, like I got it. Like, just going back from being a recruiter from many years ago in the military, like we started with paper leads, like they would get mailed to the office
Yeah.
and you'd go through these paper cards. And then now today
Yeah,
it's like,
dude.
let me pull up this computer and call everybody. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you're talking about like the Glengarry, Glen
oh
Ross
man,
style, where
that,
the good leads.
yeah,
Yeah,
to
it was like
you,
that.
they're gold, but in
Yeah.
your hands, you won't do nothing with them. Yeah.
Yep, and that's kind of how the call center model works too. Is
Yeah.
that like the you could have one lead that to one person is golden, and then to another they wouldn't know what to do with it. Um, so I did when I was in the call center environment. I mean, I do think I was pretty good at it, and it was a crash course in patience, and being able to very quickly get someone to to get on the level with you,
Yeah.
because you're calling somebody up who very well could the first words out of their mouth could be F you, don't call me again.
Yeah.
And I've got to get them from that to like, well, at least let me show you something.
Yeah.
Um, but so then I go to the next job, and I really expected the guy to be a mentor, and it kind of turned into this like, tell me how I can help you. And it was
Yeah.
like,
If I knew
well, I
that,
mean,
I wouldn't be working with you.
right, exactly, exactly. And again, I can't stress enough. He's an extremely nice guy,
Sure.
tons of experience. He took a chance on me, and I don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, um, you know, those types of questions are unknown unknowns. I
Well,
don't
but
know what I don't know.
that's life in general. Like when you look at in anyone that goes into any kind of profession, whether they go to college and get a degree and come out, or they go the military route, or they don't go to college and just go to work.
Yep.
There's a lot of self-made people that do a really good job. That when you put them in a position to grow something, like all they can do is go, "How can I help you get better?" And they can only do that because there's a lot of people that just can't, they can't compartmentalize and look at, well, these are all the struggles that I went through to become successful.
Yeah.
I need to really show you, like that's what made me more of a success as a trainer in the Navy when I was doing recruiting, is like I would walk into a room and just, instead of going, how can I help you today, I would just start asking for, planners, or let me see the stuff that you guys have been working on, or how many people have you talked to this week that could do, something or another. And then
Yeah.
take these things and start asking them questions to answer questions that I know they probably could or should ask, right? That would help
Yeah.
get an answer. And then when they start saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, you're like, well, hey, let me ask you. If there was a way that you could do this a little bit easier and have like more of a, not a, I don't like the word script for anything. I don't think that's a very good way to approach stuff, because then it sounds like everyone's going to say the same thing,
Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
all
It's something like
individuals.
an outline of
Yeah,
some.
like let me give you a
Yeah.
framework behind which you can
Yeah.
ask these questions and be yourself, but at the same time, you're able to qualify or disqualify somebody much faster and move on. And because I asked and then showed, it made it better. But I knew a lot of guys that I worked with that are just like you were just saying. Like it was, well, what can I do to help you? And it was so funny to watch young sailors look at someone and go, well, and they would say the exact words, well, if I knew what I needed help with, then I wouldn't be asking you. And then
Right.
what was
Yeah.
funny is that supervisor, we're talking military at this point. So that supervisor's like, what did you just say to me? And it's like, man, really, did you hear what you asked them? And did you
Yeah.
hear how they answered? Like, there was no disrespect there. They were truly trying to tell you, I have no clue what I need help with. Like, you're supposed to be the expert. And what was crazy, a lot of guys made it because there was a point in time where, I'm sure in the mortgage industry or the real estate industry, all those, there comes a point where things are really easy. I would say kind of right now is kind of like that, right? Low interest rates. The pandemic helped people save a lot of money. So a lot of people got a lot of money to spend, and there's nothing but plenty of people out there to be talked to, right? So you can
Yeah.
talk to all of them. So what happens is, just by nature of everyone's really busy, they'll grab the first person they see, and anybody can kind of fake their way through it in something like we're going through now, because you could talk to a mortgage lender and, oh, I got it done, let's go, and then you go make the offer, you're good. Or you could be anything, and it's just easier. But what's going to happen is all these people that kind of gain that success and they're doing really good right now in their mind by doing nothing, those are the people I see that are in that position you're talking about, where it's like, how can I help you? Like, what do you mean? I don't think they know how to help you, because I think some of those
Yeah,
people don't know how they attain their success. They did, but I don't think
yeah,
it
they're
came from
kind of
a,
removed from it now.
yeah, it didn't come from a plan. It didn't come from a process. And that's what I've noticed about you a lot, though. And I think I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably learned a lot of how you would want to run a team based off of how you walked into that, right? Like, I need to have processes in place for people to say, let's look at it this way, that way, right? Because it would be frustrating to me if I had to constantly go, okay, well, I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to sit in my kitchen or my living room, and I'm really going to think about all the stuff that I'm really not good at, that I don't know yet. And I'll make sure I ask you tomorrow. Like, what
Yeah,
are you
no.
going to do?
So in this situation at the second job, I think that you're totally right. The guy, I don't think he was really equipped to give me what I needed.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's because he's had those trials and tribulations and gotten to a very successful and long running period in his life. But the thing is, those trials and tribulations are very, very far in the rearview mirror, and they're not the same types of speed bumps that I'm going to be hitting. And so, what I was really hoping for because I mean, in the job interview, I can still remember, he said, it sounds like you're looking for somebody who would take you on as a mentor and help you, build a book of business. Absolutely. But that part never really came, because I kind of expected, mentors, they don't just, how can I help you? No, they set you on a path. And
Well, you have a clouded judgment of who a mentor is, I think. Anybody that's ever served in the military and has been given a mentor, like when you get to your first duty station, or you're fresh out of your school for your job, or you're new to anything, the military is very, very good at pairing you with someone that knows what they're doing to show you the
mhm,
ropes. We always get shown the
yeah,
ropes. And a lot of people, they just don't understand that aspect of veterans. And I think that's why a lot of veterans have a hard time finding a job, because they go into a job going, okay, well, this is going to be great. I know what I'm doing, but they're going to pair me with someone that knows everything about what the company does, so I can learn their way, because we have to learn that every duty station. What's this
yeah,
first sergeant's way, or what's this top's way of doing things? Let me figure out what my chief wants. Like, how do they operate? Let me learn
yeah,
that, and then I'll succeed. When you get out into the civilian world and you start asking those questions, they go, uh, why would you want me to, why would I even tell you that? Like, it's like, oh my God, I'm not trying to be better than you. I'm just trying to learn what I'm supposed to do. It's funny to see.
yeah. And even that, I think, is a kind of old school way of thinking of
Yeah.
like, well, I can't tell you how I did well because then, you might steal from me
Yeah.
or something. And it's like, there are more than enough clients and
Well,
realtors and whatever to go
yeah.
around.
Well,
We can all do
unfortunately,
well.
in a job that I did when I retired, I went to a job and I really feel and saw a lot of the people that I worked with there, they all had some sort of that mentality, right? Like, if I show you how I do things, and then you can become successful doing them, then I may not get promoted. And a lot of it too, I think, was, I'm coming out of the Navy after 22 years. I've done a lot in the Navy. We have to. You were in the Marine Corps. I know for a fact in 5 years you led multiple things, multiple people, in pressure situations and all. And so when we come out and we do our interviews, I can't tell you how many times I feel like myself or some of my buddies that have retired came out of an interview that they were like, I killed it, but they said that I can't get
Oh,
the job. They're afraid of you, dude. Like, you're coming in as someone with no skills, but you're going to
yeah,
instantly relate to the people they work with, and then you're going to make a difference right away. And they don't know how to do that. That's like that type of competition, and it, like you see it right now every day, and it's just unfortunate because like where we are now, there is none of that. We're all going to do this together. Like you don't find that very many places. It
No,
doesn't
you really
exist.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't, and it was a big reason why I made the change.
And so was
Because
the second one where you made the change to your current one?
yeah,
Okay.
yep. So I Mutual of Omaha is my third mortgage job, and so the second one I was just like I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, oh God, I'm awake, you know, and I just dread it, and I
Are we snowed
and
in yet? I don't want to go to work.
it was just brutal because nice people in my office, but also the median age of my branch was probably 60. So
Oh, so
like
when you start
I would
talking computers and technology, like what's that?
well there was just no relating,
Yeah.
like the because I'm trying to build a book of business. Do I work with older people? Absolutely. But most of my peers aren't older. Most of my network isn't older. And
Yeah.
so there just wasn't much overlap. So the woman that got me into the branch, that passed along my resume, she's about my age and she's great. I actually send her deals from time to time. Like down payment assistance stuff here in Colorado that I can't do. I send to her because she's really good at it. But anyway, I just, you get to the point where you just know that something isn't for you, and you have to decide if you're gonna like suck it up and keep going, which is absolutely not who I am,
Yeah.
or make a change for the better.
Oh, for
And
sure.
so, I mentioned my first boss was close in age to me, and we kept in touch, and I also knew that the because let me back up a little bit. When we all got laid off from the first company, he had built this branch. There was like 15 of us. And to
Wow.
him, he's like, I've already spent all of this time finding these people and getting them licensed and getting them successful. I don't want to lose that. So he said, I'm gonna find a company that will let me start a branch in Denver. And anybody from this team who wants to come and join, you've got a job,
And
no
you guys
questions
were
asked.
successful in Denver, though, right? The move wasn't because you weren't doing well.
No, it was just because it was a privately owned company, and the owner put in a new executive that just didn't want to have a Denver branch.
Okay.
So that was why. But I was impatient. Like, I mean, you know how it is. You're a loan officer. If I get a deal today, like let's say a realtor called me up and they said, hey, you know, uh, I need you to pre-qualify this person. I pre-qualified them, and then they miraculously got a contract tomorrow. You know, Earliest I'm getting paid for that is like 6 weeks from now.
Hmm.
So I panicked. I'm like, I have to find something. I don't have time to wait around and see if
Yeah.
uh, if my former boss is gonna find us something. So that's how I got the other job. And I even explored, is mortgage right for me? I looked at the financial planning and stuff again, and I decided to stick with mortgage because I had put in a year. I might as well see it through it because I didn't feel like I'd really gotten to a level I felt happy with in mortgage yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward a few months, and the guy was able to start a branch successfully with a company called Bridgeview Bank that it became Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, um, and the branch office that he started was in the office park that I worked at. At this second mortgage company, they were in the next building over.
So you guys are now
And,
competing,
I
basically.
mean, not for the same business, but
Sure.
we're both there.
Yeah.
And so I saw that my boss's LinkedIn updated, and it said he started working at Mutual of Omaha. So I called him and I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, did BBMC not work out? It's like, oh no, well they got acquired. Now we're part of Mutual of Omaha. I'm like, oh cool. He said, so how's it going with you? And I'm like, well, not great. And kind of told him what was going on, and he said, well, why don't you come over? tomorrow morning, and I'll tell you how we do things here and what's similar, what's different, and if you like it, let me know. So I go over and I expressed, look, I've been spending the last 6 months, I've been out there, I've been networking, I've been getting my name out there. I'm trying to build this book of business, and I don't want to give that up. So if I'm coming over here, then I need to be able to continue to work on self-generated stuff. I hope that that's okay. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And then also we have this VA team that we're part of, where we've got a guy that goes around the country and teaches realtors about VA loans, and then you call those realtors, and they're your realtors, and they send you clients. And I'm like, I've just spent the last 6 months trying to organically meet realtors and get them to like me, and I've had like no success.
And now you're just going to dump a whole dump truck in my lap.
Hundreds. Yeah. I went from, I had a handful of realtors that I could call upon to literally hundreds. And now I've had, that they've had value added to their lives in the form of this class, which is much, much more valuable than what I have been doing, which is, come have a cup of coffee with me and see if you like me. And which can work, and people
like your story getting footed with the bill on $12 an hour.
Yeah, well, and that was when I worked for that company. Yeah, that happened then. So I was making $12 an hour because I didn't have any loans, and having to be foot in a bill.
Yeah. Like the day after they close the $1 million deal and get like a $50,000 commission.
No. They were both
brand new too, right?
Yep.
So let's take let's go from, so now you've come full circle, and you started talking about where I like you're at is being a part of the VA team, right?
Yeah.
What's the future of that look like for you?
So the future of it for me looks like this thing just continuing to grow, because like I'm personally loving the change in my own career from a producer, and don't get me wrong, I like producing, I feel I'm good at it, but I really like teaching people stuff, and I like I like to build people up. And so for me, I mean, I see this team growing to the point that the guys like yourself who came in on the ground floor are eventually managing teams of their own.
That's what I was going to say. I see you have so much knowledge there, right? Like, here's what I look at it. Guys like you, Tim, if we let you produce forever, right, we're going to be successful, right? We're going to.
Yeah.
Like, Tim is going to do a great job. But if we let Tim get all the stuff that's in here and teach it to 3 or 4 people that could learn, now we just 10x what we could do, because now we have the right guy teaching the right things. Like, that's what I see anyway.
Well, and I mentioned earlier on that it was really important for me to work somewhere where people are doing whatever they can to build me up and not micromanaging, and that's exactly what happens here. The thing that you just mentioned is pretty much how I got to be in this position. Is that they said, Tim's a vet, Tim's been on the team for a long time, and he, on top of that, he's good at originating files that have a very, very high closure rate. I very, very rarely lose files. And so it's just like you said, we could have Tim just producing and doing well, or we could have Tim impart that knowledge onto other go-getters who are going to go out there and then someday be at that level and beyond.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a much bigger scale than just one person. So my goal is to eventually get it so that we've got, it sounds, it feels cliche to call it an army, but I'm going to do it anyway. To someday have an army of veteran loan officers who
our buddy David's going to like your analogy. We're building an army, David, just so you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that he sees it that way too. Yeah. And
but we're not doing an army of one.
No, well, that doesn't even make sense. It's like the worst.
Yeah,
it's the worst branch.
It's an old one. They don't do it anymore.
Marketing slogan.
Now they're Army Strong.
Right. We called it Army Wrong. But and David is another thing, and I'm gonna, his head's gonna get real big if he ever watches this. But a big thing that kept me wanting to stay on the team and stay with this company was that David and I see his vision, and I get it,
Yeah.
and I think that we are so on the same page with this stuff, and and I just feel honored to be a part of this thing because you know it's already grown so much over the last few years. This thing has exploded. This used to be a thing that David, maybe a couple times a month would go and do this in person,
Yeah.
and then we'd call on those realtors.
I mean, hey man,
And
I got introduced to this group of army, whatever we're gonna call it, like our team of just go getters, man. We're gangsters. We are going to go make it happen. And I got introduced to it 2 years ago as a realtor, and I mean I was floored, man. Someone that would come out and teach me something without expecting anything in return. I was like, man, I feel like I'm back in the military again. There's
well, it
no,
just
you know,
it makes so much sense when you think about it. That I don't need to be doing what was recommended to me in the past of, oh, just go into real estate offices and try to make friends with people. And it's like, dude, you mean like the 53 other people who have tried that
hmm
day?
and that
What's
they've
a
got like probably $1,000 credit at Starbucks right now off gift cards.
oh my god. And you can always
Yeah,
really distill it down to this. Hey, my name's Tim. I'm a mortgage lender. Can I have some money?
yeah,
Like, you really distill it down enough, that's what it is. I'm not going into that office because I want to make your life better. I'm going into that office because I want you to take a chance on me and give me some clients.
sure,
So could I, you could go that way, and, is it going to work? Sometimes, definitely,
yep,
for sure. But it's not efficient, and it's not a strong base from which to build. And then you look at what we do. We say, hey, realtors, that VA loan that you've been told to avoid? Well, you were told wrong. And we are going to, for free, give you an education in this that's then going to allow you to go pursue a whole base of clients that no one is even trying to reach. And then when you find those people, if you want to work with us, we're happy to help in whatever way we can.
yeah,
We don't expect anything from you, but we are the experts that showed you how to do this thing.
yeah, for
So,
sure. And I think it's just I've talked to so many people as well that's just been like the funny part of it is what you just brought up earlier of hey, my name is Matt, and could you also give me some money? Like that's all I really care about talking to you
yeah,
for.
could you facilitate me getting paid? Yeah.
And realtors do that too. And so
Oh, for
we
sure.
all understand that that's the dynamic of it. You have to be on the hustle and the grind. But what is crazy about what we do is you don't know how many realtors that I've talked to and they've been like, well, I don't know anybody right now. And I'm like, well, that's fine. And if you are working with someone that decides to use someone that's not me, that's okay. But I'm telling you right now, if it's a veteran, I am here even if you have a question. If you're
Yep.
stuck, if you don't know what to do, if they've given you something that doesn't make sense, I don't even care if I'm the guy on the other end that gets a deposit in the bank account. I want to make sure that that veteran's taken care of. And they're like, for real?
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I'm a
yeah, because
resource for you. That's it.
we're building this for the long term.
Yeah.
You know, we're not here to do a one and done and that's it. Like, because again, it all comes back to the efficiency of it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to efficiently reach a bunch of realtors and make it clear to them, I'm here for you as a resource, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I have many times had realtors call and say, hey, I've got this nightmare situation going on, with another loan. But it's, the way that the timeline is going to work, it's not one where you can take it over. But I just want some help. I want a second opinion. I want to run some stuff by you. The lender said this, is it right? I am happy to talk that stuff through, even if I know for sure it's not going to directly result in me making some money or something. Because first off, I know I can't win them all. That's a really important thing to learn, is that you can do really, really well. You don't have to win them all.
Yeah.
And you're not going to, and you don't
Nope, you're
deserve
not.
to. But I'm happy to put myself out there for people, not with the expectation that one day it might pay off, but with the knowledge that maybe it could. It's
Sure.
not. I don't expect these people to come back later and say, since you helped me out before, I'm going to throw you a bone. No, but those every one of those selfless acts, and I do those things because it makes me feel good. So maybe it's a little selfish, but I know that I'm helping them and I'm helping their
Yeah.
client, and
Well,
and whether or
for
not it
me,
directly benefits me,
yeah, for me, I
it's
don't
fine.
think it's that I'm helping the realtor as much. Sorry,
No, it's the
realtors.
client
Yeah,
ultimately.
sorry, realtors. If I didn't make you feel good about, I'm only there to help you, but I'm helping a veteran get into a home. And
Well,
here's the
and
thing, man. Like sometimes they really need that. Those are wins that they really need to feel secure with their family. And the fact that you can help them is all good, especially with like just the initiatives that have been put in place lately. Like we go to a place like a VFW and you talk to a veteran that's like in their 60s, right? That is like, I'm in this house and it's horrible. And then you tell them they can use a VA loan. They find out they can do it because they didn't know that they could, part of the truce that we talk about.
yep,
And they realize, oh my goodness, I'm getting this disability. I don't have to pay this fee. I get this. And like, I could actually really now, I could feel comfortable. I can live off this disability. I can live off this social security check because now I'm not having to pay the high fees for other stuff. The satisfaction of seeing that you've helped someone get out of a tricky situation into a better situation, dude, I don't even need a paycheck. That's payment.
yeah, yeah, for sure, and especially, I mean, there are few other careers where you get the opportunity to make such a direct impact on somebody's life, and the fact that I get paid to do it on my terms, on my schedule, I mean, it's unbelievable to me. Still,
Oh yeah.
I still sometimes I'm like, Jesus, this is really my job.
Yeah. Now you wake
Um,
up going, oh, all right. Well, let's see how much I can actually get done today. Let's see how many people. Let's see how many people I
yeah,
can reach out to. Let's see how many people I can connect with. Let's see how many people that I can. We're like so. I don't know. We're like prophets, right? You're spreading that word of like, hey, this is a benefit that you can use. A lot of people probably told you can't do it. There's probably been a lot of other people that have told you there's other things that are better. But did you know this stuff? And there was one the other day that I reached out to, sent an email. Person came back and was like, "Oh, I thought I was signing up for a class. I don't want to buy a house." So then I replied to them and said, "Listen, we reach out to let you know that you signed up, and we're just appreciative. There's no expectation that you're buying a house. All I want to make
yep,
sure is that you get the information for the benefit. All that stuff at the bottom
yep,
of the email I send is optional 100%. Take the class, get
yeah,
the info." And then they went, "Oh, okay. I'm sorry." I like they're apologizing for me and coming back crazy like, I'm not trying to buy nothing. And but the moment I go back to them and go, "Well, I didn't get you on the phone, but I always send the same email to everybody. It's just so that you know that we know you
yeah,
registered." And they were just like, "Apologize." I'm like, "You don't apologize to me. Just take the class. It's all good."
yeah, and I think that comes back to like, so people don't like feeling like they're being sold to,
Yeah.
and so it's almost like an instinctual defense
Yep.
when people think they're being sold to be like, whoa, 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 I don't want the thing that you're selling.
I
And
don't
the
want to
thing
give it to
is,
you. I just want you
well,
to get the
because
info. Yeah.
and that's the thing, is that we don't really. I think if you're doing your job right in this business, you don't really need to ever come across like a salesperson, because
Yeah.
I'm
I
not.
agree.
What we do, what we really do, we do it with the VA class. We do it on an individual level every day. We sell people on the concept of working with us because they like us, because they trust us, they trust our experience, and just because they want to work with us.
Yeah, and I think the biggest hurdle that we always have to get over, and anybody that, and we're not the only ones that lead selflessly and for that, but anybody that does, I think the biggest problem is what you just pointed out of like nobody wants to feel like they're sold to,
Mm-hmm.
and probably the only like negative you could go if like we're working with veterans is we all know there's a catch. Oh, really? What's the
Yeah,
catch? And when you tell them there's truly no catch, they're still like, I'm gonna put a fake email in here. I don't want you to call me back. Like it's cool,
yeah,
man. You
but
can do whatever you want. I just want you to have the info. But it's amazing how many people are like, you got to be messing with me. I'm like, I'm not messing.
yeah, and imagine how much harder that pitch is if you're not a veteran, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Um, yeah, and I think it all comes down to how you go about that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
um, because look, we as humans, whether you're in sales or not, we sell, we negotiate, we transact, and in more occasions and ways than you might think. Like think about when you're trying to get your kid to eat, whatever vegetable they don't like.
Yeah,
You're selling them on the concept of eating that vegetable.
even if you got to
Uh,
pay him $1.
and well, if that's the way that you've figured it out, I guess.
Oh, I
But
mean, like the kid 3 years old, $1 to them is $1,000,000. They're like, oh,
damn,
I'll
if
take it.
if my mom knew about seasoning back in those days, I probably would have eaten a lot more
Yeah,
vegetables.
right. Yeah,
But what I'm saying is that it is possible to be very, very good at sales without people ever feeling that you are selling to them in the like Billy Mays way of selling.
yeah.
I don't have to like violently sell to you to get you to go with me,
No, absolutely, man.
because
Never.
yeah,
It's never something that you have to do, and it's never something that anybody wants you to do. They just want you to be genuine, dude. And that's why, like,
absolutely,
and genuinely, I'm just appreciative that you took the time today to just sit down and talk about some stuff, and just not just for me, but for everybody that's going to watch this to get to know a little bit more about you, Tim, and know that just a little bit about where you come from, dude. Not all of it has to always be like I work for this and I work for that, but
yeah,
we can just tell today, like the answers that you give and the way that you talk about it, the passion that you have in your voice, it's because you truly care. Like you're invested in building something great, and that let's be honest, man. There's not a lot of that in the world today. There's just not.
yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that is being built. There's a lot of stuff that people will say they're doing, but more times than not, there's always a catch. And I'm grateful that I'm at a place where there is no catch. And for anybody out there that's listening to us today, like you're not going to know that, and nobody ever knows that unless you take that chance. Just ask one
yeah.
time, and you'll see. But yeah, man. I mean, again, thanks so much for talking. I know that you're a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. We could probably go on for hours, and we're going to talk
Oh, for
again.
sure.
I promise you.
Well,
Uh,
I would love that, and I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm a huge podcast guy. I love podcasts.
yeah, man, they're fun.
So I'm down anytime,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to share. I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about sales. And to get back to the like, man, is this really my job? Uh, I mean, how cool is this? This is what we get to do in order to build this thing, is we
Yeah,
get to sit here and talk
absolutely.
about it